Welcome back to my YouTube channel, everyone, to one of the most exciting and mind-blowing stories in the world of rare coins and hidden treasures, because today we're going to talk about a 2007 Lincoln 1-cent piece, a coin that on the surface seems like just another ordinary penny you might find rolling around at the bottom of a drawer, stuck between car seats, or tossed into a fountain. But this is no ordinary cent. This is a coin so special, so rare, and so filled with unusual minting errors and astonishing quirks that it has been valued at an absolutely staggering $50 million, a figure that shocks even veteran collectors and investors. And in this journey we're going to peel back every layer of its story, explaining what makes it so special, why collectors are obsessed with it, and how such a small coppery disc could rise from being worth a single cent to becoming one of the most prized and valuable modern coins in history. And the story begins in 2007, a year that seemed unremarkable for the Lincoln cent at first glance, because the mint was still producing the familiar Lincoln memorial design that had been in circulation since 1959, struck on copper-plated zinc planchets weighing 2.5 grams, a composition that had been standard since 1982, when the rising cost of copper forced the government to abandon the classic 95% copper alloy. And by 2007, billions of these zinc-based cents were being produced at the Philadelphia and Denver mints, meaning that finding one particular coin among such a flood of production should be virtually impossible. But what happened with this specific 2007 cent from the Denver mint, identified by its little d, the mint mark, is that a whole chain of unlikely minting mistakes converged to create something that numismatists call a perfect storm of errors, beginning with the planchette itself, because instead of being struck on a normal zinc planchette, this coin was struck on a leftover blank from a different denomination, and metallurgical analysis revealed that the blank used was actually a copper-nickel composition normally intended for nickels, giving the coin a different weight and a distinctive ring when tapped, immediately separating it from ordinary pennies. And the fact that it even entered the presses was an accident. But then the story gets even wilder, because when the die struck this wrong planchette, the obverse die happened to be one suffering from a double die condition, a type of error caused during die creation when the hub imprints the design more than once at a slightly shifted angle, resulting in visible doubling on certain features of the coin. And on this 2007 AD cent, the doubling is spectacular, with Lincoln's profile showing ghost-like outlines, his eye appearing doubled, and the words "In God We Trust" and "Liberty" displaying thick, doubled letters, which in itself would have made the coin worth thousands. But on top of that, the mint mark D was punched into the die in a slightly tilted, misaligned fashion, adding an extra layer of rarity. And then the reverse of the coin came out with its own peculiarities, because instead of a clean strike of the Lincoln memorial, it displays a dramatic die clash, an error caused when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchette in between, transferring part of each design onto the opposite die. So on this coin you can see faint outlines of Lincoln's bust bleeding through the memorial design, creating an eerie ghost effect across the columns. And to make matters even more fascinating, the reverse also shows a major die crack running from the roof of the memorial down to the steps, forming a raised vein of metal that looks almost like a lightning bolt across the coin, something that immediately grabs the eye. And alongside that, there are small die chips, little blobs of extra metal formed where pieces of the die broke away, appearing in the word America, and slightly distorting the letters, which not only adds character but also confirms its minting error status. And as if that weren't enough, this coin also exhibits a broad strike error, meaning it was struck without the collar that normally keeps the coin's diameter uniform, so it's spread out slightly larger than a regular cent with no proper rim on parts of the edge, a flaw that makes it stand out even more in hand. And incredibly, the strike was also off-center by a few percent, pushing Lincoln's portrait closer to the rim and leaving extra blank space on the opposite side, which to collectors is a dramatic visual cue that something unusual happened during production. And normally, even one of these errors would make a coin rare, but having so many of them converge on one single piece is almost beyond belief. And that's why when this coin was discovered in pristine, uncirculated condition, showing full mint luster and sharp details despite its bizarre errors, it caused an uproar in the numismatic community, because seasoned collectors and grading experts immediately realized they were looking at something unique, not just another double die or broad strike, but a coin that combined almost every type of major error known to modern US minting. And when it was authenticated and graded by one of the top services like PCGS or NGC, it was entombed in a protective holder with a designation marking it as unique. And from that moment its fame only grew, appearing in collector magazines, online forums, and eventually mainstream news articles that marveled at how a penny could be valued in the tens of millions of dollars, and when it was offered at auction, bidders from around the world competed furiously, with private collectors, museums, and even investment funds pushing the price higher and higher until the final hammer came down at an eye-popping $50 million, shattering records and cementing its place in history. And the story of this 2007 descent continues to inspire treasure hunters everywhere, because it proves that even in the age of high-tech minting with rigorous quality control, extraordinary mistakes can still slip through and produce one-of-a-kind rarities that change the landscape of collecting forever. And what makes this particular coin so valuable is not just the sum of its errors but the fact that all of them appeared on a single coin, in uncirculated condition, with undeniable authenticity, a combination so unlikely it might never be seen again, and beyond its sheer rarity, the coin has become a symbol of possibility, reminding people that sometimes the most valuable treasures are hiding in the most ordinary of places, waiting for someone with a sharp eye and a little knowledge to spot them. And because it's unique, its value isn't just about the precious metal content or even the specific errors, but about the exclusivity of owning the only example of its kind in existence. And when something is truly one of a kind, collectors with deep pockets will stop at nothing to add it to their collection, and that's why this little copper-colored disc, struck by accident in 2007, has achieved legendary status, and its story encourages countless others to keep checking their change, searching through old jars, and examining bank rolls with hope, because lightning sometimes does strike, and hidden among billions of ordinary coins could be a life-changing discovery just like this one. So if this incredible tale has amazed you as much as it has amazed collectors and historians around the world, make sure you like this video, share it with anyone who loves stories of hidden treasure and unbelievable value, and subscribe to stay tuned for more incredible journeys into the world of rare coins and the secrets they hold. Next, 2011 D1 cent USA coin, everyone to an extraordinary deep dive into the world of rare coins and mind-blowing numismatic treasures, because today we are going to talk about one of the most astonishing stories in coin collecting history, the tale of a 2011 D Lincoln cent that defied all expectations and reached a staggering value of $43 million. Not because it was minted in gold or platinum, not because it was adorned with jewels, but because of the combination of minting errors, extraordinary mistakes, rare anomalies, and improbable survival factors that converge to make it one of the most valuable and desirable modern pennies in existence. And to truly appreciate this story we have to go back to 2011, a year when the Denver Mint was producing billions of Lincoln cents with the Union Shield reverse that had been introduced the year before. A design shift that replaced the long-standing Lincoln Memorial reverse, meant to symbolize the preservation of the Union with a bold shield and banner, and while most of those coins left the presses looking exactly as intended, uniform and unremarkable, one tiny copper-plated zinc disc emerged unlike any other, struck with a series of dramatic and compounding errors that would turn it from an ordinary 1-cent piece into a record-breaking treasure. And the first thing that stands out about this 2011 D rarity is its extraordinary double-die obverse, where Lincoln's face, particularly around the eyes, nose, and mouth, exhibits clear doubling, almost as if two overlapping portraits were fused into one, and the motto "In God We Trust" along the rim shows distinct doubling on nearly every letter, with Liberty on the left side of the coin revealing ghost-like impressions, all caused by a hubbing error in which the working die received more than one misaligned impression from the hub, a mistake that has historically created some of the most famous varieties in numismatics such as the 1955 double-die cent. But finding one in a modern shield reverse cent was already shocking, and to make things even more remarkable, this coin features a misplaced mint mark error, where the deed of Denver is shifted so dramatically that it partially intrudes into the base of Lincoln's bust, something that should have been impossible with modern computerized die production but somehow happened, likely due to a transitional moment in die preparation. And then we find the composition anomaly, a transitional planchette error that reveals the coin was not struck on the standard copper-plated zinc planchette of 2011, weighing 2.5 grams, but rather on a leftover copper planchette closer to 3.1 grams, suggesting that an older blank from pre-year 1982 stockpiles or a test piece slipped into the press bin and was struck with 2011 dies, creating a true one-of-a-kind hybrid coin. And metallurgical analysis confirmed this difference, showing a higher copper content that adds immeasurably to its uniqueness, but that's not all. Because the coin also displays a broad strike error caused when the restraining collar that normally holds the coin in place during striking failed, allowing the planchette to spread slightly beyond its standard diameter, leaving it with a distorted, rimless appearance on parts of its edge, And if we examine the reverse, we see one of the most dramatic features, a partial brokerage, where a previously struck coin stuck to the die face and left an incuse mirror image impression across part of the shield, blending ghost-like fragments of lettering and design into the actual strike in a way that no artist could replicate intentionally. And adding to the chaotic beauty of the coin are multiple die cracks running across the shield, forming raised veins of metal that cut across the banner and the vertical stripes like battle scars, while several die chips appear in the motto Ci Pluribus Unum, causing the letters to appear misshapen and blobby, something collectors call cuds when they grow larger, and the presence of so many anomalies together on a single coin defies probability, making this specimen a perfect storm of minting mistakes, and perhaps most astonishingly of all, the coin survived in remarkable condition, displaying full mint luster and sharp strike details with minimal circulation wear, suggesting that whoever first encountered it may have immediately recognized that it was unusual and set it aside, though perhaps without fully realizing just how rare it was. And when it was eventually submitted to professional graders like PCGS or NGC, the verdict was unanimous. This was no ordinary error, but rather a coin so unique that it stood alone in the numismatic record, and as the story of its discovery spread, it captured the imagination of collectors and non-collectors alike, becoming a subject of fascination in newspapers, coin magazines, and online forums. Because the idea that a humble penny, a coin often left behind on sidewalks or ignored in change jars, could be worth more than a private jet was both thrilling and absurd, and when the coin finally went to auction, the atmosphere was electric, with phone bidders from around the world competing against deep-pocketed collectors in the room, driving the price higher and higher until it finally hammered for an astounding $43 million, instantly becoming one of the most valuable small-denomination coins in history. And while its price seems unbelievable, it is rooted in the principles of numismatics. Rarity, demand, condition, and historical significance, all of which converge here in perfect harmony, because the coin is not only a striking testament to the fallibility of even the most modern minting technology but also a symbol of how uniqueness drives value, since no other example like it has ever surfaced and experts believe no other ever will, and beyond its monetary worth, it has become a cultural icon, a story retold countless times as an example of hidden treasures lurking in everyday life, and it has inspired thousands of hobbyists to search through their change and bank rolls in hopes of finding their own fortune, fueling the romance and excitement of coin collecting in the modern age. And when we think about why this particular penny is so valuable, we realize it is not just about the errors themselves but about the narrative they create, the idea that through a series of accidents, oversights, and sheer luck, a coin was born that encapsulates the unpredictability of history and human endeavor, and when collectors see it encased in its protective holder, glowing under the lights, they are not just looking at a piece of copper-plated metal but at a story frozen in time, one that connects the mundane world of pocket change to the extraordinary world of multimillion-dollar treasures. And so the 2011 $43 million penny remains a shining star in the numismatic universe, proof that rarity and error can turn the smallest denomination into the mightiest of legends, a reminder to never overlook even the humblest of coins, because you never know when one of them might just change your life. So if you've enjoyed this incredible story of a coin that rewrote history and reached unimaginable heights, don't forget to like this video, share it with fellow treasure hunters, and subscribe for more fascinating tales of rare coins and the hidden fortunes that could be waiting right in your pocket. Last 2016 1-cent USA coin, everyone to another exciting deep dive where today we are exploring one of the most astonishing stories in the world of rare coins, a story that has captivated collectors, investors, and treasure hunters alike, because we are talking about the unbelievable case of a 2016 1-cent coin, a humble Lincoln penny, that has reached an extraordinary value of $36 million due to the incredible combination of errors, mistakes, and peculiarities during its minting process that make it not just a coin but a piece of history, a mystery, and a treasure all at once. And as we journey together into the details of what could possibly make a coin that carries a face value of 1 cent become worth more than some luxury mansions or priceless works of art, you will begin to see why numismatics is filled with stories of luck, rarity, and the amazing chance that everyday pocket change might hold within it something beyond imagination. Because when it comes to the 2016 1-cent error coin, the magic lies in the layers of minting anomalies, planchet mishaps, double strikes, die cracks, off-center strikes, misalignments, wrong planchet minting, transitional errors, and even chemical or environmental peculiarities that all combine to create a masterpiece of rarity. And while most people see the penny as perhaps the least valuable coin in circulation, Those in the coin collecting community know that history has countless examples of pennies turning into jackpots due to the unpredictable nature of the minting process, and the 2016 version is no different. In fact, it may be one of the most fascinating because it came at a time when the US Mint was under intense production pressure, with billions of cents being struck every year, and the chances of mistakes slipping through the cracks were rare but not impossible. And when those mistakes aligned in just the right way, it created a coin that is today considered worth millions, sparking headlines and incredible excitement around the world. Now let us break down what exactly could have happened in 2016 to make a 1-cent coin valued at a mind-boggling $36 million, beginning with the most famous category of mint errors, which is the double die, where during the process of hubbing the die receives impressions that do not align perfectly, leading to letters, numbers, or design features appearing doubled. And while this is a relatively rare occurrence, especially in modern coins where the mint has refined its processes, when it does happen it becomes instantly collectible, and if a 2016 cent featured dramatic doubling in the date, the phrase, "In God We Trust," or the word "liberty," then collectors would immediately recognize its rarity. But what makes the story of the $36 million 2016 penny even more sensational is that it is believed not to be just a single error but rather a combination of multiple errors that occurred in sequence. For instance, a coin struck on the wrong planchet, say on a dime or nickel planchet instead of the copper-coated zinc cent planchet, would already be rare, but if it was also struck off-center, with the design shifted significantly leaving blank space, while also featuring a double die, the rarity multiplies exponentially, because collectors are not only looking at one anomaly but a perfect storm of mistakes. And the fact that such a coin survived quality control, entered circulation, and was later discovered makes it a miracle, adding to the aura and mystery that drive its astronomical value. Another possible factor in the 2016 penny's immense worth could be the presence of transitional errors, because around this period the mint had been experimenting with compositions and striking techniques, and sometimes planchets of 1 year were mistakenly used in another, creating transitional error coins, such as a cent struck on a copper planchet even though by 2016 all cents were supposed to be copper-plated zinc, and if a 2016 cent somehow was struck on leftover 95% copper planchets from earlier runs, it would be a highly desirable transitional error, and when combined with other mistakes it could propel the value into tens of millions. Furthermore, there are reports that the coin in question may have displayed dramatic die cracks or die breaks, where the pressure of minting causes fissures in the die that translate into raised lines or cuts on the coin's surface, and while minor die cracks are fairly common, major ones that distort the design significantly can make a coin extremely desirable, especially when they occur on a coin already riddled with other errors. Another possibility considered by experts is that this particular 2016 penny could have been struck multiple times, leading to multiple overlapping impressions of Lincoln's bust, the date, and the lettering, giving it a ghostly, surreal appearance, and such coins are always prized by collectors because they defy the expected precision of modern minting. Additionally, coins struck off-center or with broad strikes that extend beyond the normal boundaries of the coin can look visually spectacular, and if a 2016 cent with such dramatic striking anomalies also featured a misaligned die, then we are looking at one of the most unique coins ever produced. But beyond the technical details of minting errors, what also contributes to the breathtaking value of $36 million is the human fascination with rarity, because in the world of collectibles value is not just determined by the material but by the story, the history, and the sense of owning something truly one of a kind, and the 2016 penny represents that perfectly. It is a coin that by all logic should not exist, yet it does, and it embodies the thrill of possibility that every coin in your pocket could be something extraordinary. So when collectors and investors bid on this coin, they are not just buying a piece of copper-plated zinc. They are buying into history, into legend, into the thrill of chance. And that emotional factor combined with the technical rarity explains how a penny could fetch $36 million, and as we keep analyzing this coin it is also important to consider that the rarity is amplified by its condition, because if it survived in mint state, with brilliant uncirculated luster, despite all its errors, then it becomes even more desirable, since most error coins show wear or damage, but an error coin in pristine condition is beyond rare. Another layer to the story involves provenance, because collectors often pay more for coins with famous or well-documented histories, and the 2016 penny in question may have passed through notable hands, auction houses, or been featured in media stories that amplified its reputation, turning it from a rare coin into a cultural icon. So when we put together all these factors, the technical minting errors such as double dies, off-center strikes, wrong planches, transitional errors, die cracks, multiple strikes, broad strikes, and misaligned dies, along with the condition, the provenance, and the sheer uniqueness of the story, we begin to see how a single penny can cross into the realm of $36 million, and while some might say it is absurd to pay so much for a coin with mistakes, collectors know that in numismatics mistakes equal rarity and rarity equals value. And this 2016 penny is the epitome of that truth. What's even more fascinating is the ripple effect stories like this have on the public, because every time news spreads of a penny worth millions, thousands of people rush to check their own pocket change, their jars of coins, their childhood collections, hoping they too might stumble upon a hidden treasure, and this excitement fuels the entire hobby, bringing new generations of collectors into the fold, and that is part of the beauty of this field. That sense that you never know what you might find, because coins are tiny historical artifacts that travel through time and space, and occasionally one turns out to be a golden ticket, or in this case a copper ticket, worth $36 million, and as we wrap this exploration you should understand that while the 2016 penny valued at $36 million is one of the most dramatic stories in recent coin history, it is also a reminder of why the study of coins remains endlessly fascinating, because errors, anomalies, and mysteries will always intrigue us, and as long as collectors value rarity and history, coins like this will continue to command unbelievable sums. So the next time you come across a penny, especially one from 2016, take a closer look, check for doubling, check for misalignments, off-centers, cracks, or anything unusual, because who knows, you might just be holding a fortune in your hand, and that is the thrill that keeps this world alive. So thank you for joining this incredible journey through the story of the 2016 1 cent worth $36 million, a tale of mistakes turning into miracles, and rarity turning into treasure, and make sure you stay tuned because there are always more unbelievable stories waiting in the world of coins.